All right, everybody. If you would unmute yourself, everybody, and let's give Piret a huge, wild standing ovation. Cheering.
Woo!
You got this.
Yay! So proud of you.
Oh,
Hi.
Beautiful. All right, everybody. I'm going to mute everyone, and then Piret, I'll unmute you. Piret, you're going to have to unmute yourself because it's saying ask to unmute.
It was an early spring afternoon in 1988 when I was at school, sitting in class and waiting for the school day to finish, when I suddenly learned that a classmate had betrayed me, or so I thought at the time. When the lesson was over, I ran outside and all I could see was this traffic light turning from green to amber, but I kept running. All of a sudden, a white car, it just came from nowhere. It crashed into me and I flew in the air and landed like a heavy sack on a wet asphalt. That day, I broke my leg and I was put in hospital. But there was something else, something invisible, broken inside of me that also needed care and attention and healing, but never received it. So time went by, and when I look back, I realize I became more serious, more detached, and less interested in my hobbies. So for example, I quit my dancing lessons. As an adult, this trauma and perhaps some others, they shaped my thinking. And there was like this big hole, black hole that started to grow in me. And when it was big enough, a mean voice moved in. And from that day onwards, there were two parts in me. There was my real self that still gave me words of encouragement, and it just very gently asked me to go and find my passion and share it with other people. And then there was this other voice, this mean one, the critical one, who said very convincingly, you can't do this, you don't have what it takes. You are this, you are that. It didn't stop me from accomplishing things that were important to me. I still followed my dreams. For example, I moved abroad when I was 19, and I trained for 6 years to become a therapist. And I helped hundreds of people heal emotionally and mentally, and sometimes even physically. But over time, this is what it did to my body and to my levels of energy. So a few years back, I was taking my regular morning walk, which is like a morning ritual for me. It was like very, very cold morning. I had my pink scarf wrapped 3 times around my neck, so everything you could see, all you could see was just my eyes a little bit and a little bit of my nose. And then there was this fresh snow everywhere. It was very soft and deep and shimmering in the sunlight, like tiny, tiny crystals, diamonds everywhere. But I couldn't take it in because I had no beauty left in me any longer. In fact, I was so exhausted, I couldn't take another step. So that was the moment I had to take notice. I had to look and face myself and take action to get help. Many people have negative self-talk. Many people have this voice telling them they aren't good enough or they aren't clever enough to follow their dreams. But they use willpower to push through, and it works for them. What I found to be true for myself and for many other sensitive people, especially those who have suffered from some kind of trauma, is that I don't have such willpower to push part of myself away for long periods of time, because it takes all my energy away. And in order to have a peaceful life and in order to create from the heart, which is my wish, I create this dialogue with the critical mind. And I found a way how to decipher the messages and how to turn them into the wisdom of the heart. I mean, it doesn't always work, but there are many times it does. And I've had very many breakthroughs recently, which I'm super happy about. So the thing is that the critical mind becomes the loudest whenever I take a big step out of my comfort zone. Like I'm doing right now. I'm creating a new therapy service, which is based on healing communication. And it has the power to solve misunderstandings in the moment when those misunderstandings arise. And the beauty about it is that this creates solid and loving relationships. And I believe that solid and loving relationships are the foundation of a peaceful world. My dream is to live in a peaceful world, and I make my best. I do my best to give my contribution. The other day, I was sitting in my kitchen, and behind my laptop, I was writing content for my new website, and I was just typing away, and then my mind ran completely empty. So I was just sitting there for a while, staring into emptiness, and the critical mind woke up. It picked up its loudspeaker and started shouting its valuable advice to me. But at that moment, I had enough space left in me to remember that the critical voice is an important messenger. So I made that decision to listen deeper behind the surface level words. So I decided to take 2 chairs, one for myself and the other one for the critical voice. And in my mind's eye, I pictured this critical voice as a human being who was sitting opposite me. And I took the intention of sincerity, and I just started this conversation. So are you asking, I had this conversation out loud, and I said to the critical voice, so are you saying me that I should postpone writing content for my new website just because you care for me and you want to see me succeed? The critical voice goes, yes. And you want to wait until I have significant, compelling ideas so that we can share together and we can be happy and celebrate this moment. Yeah, now that you put it this way, yeah, that's what I want for you. And this conversation went on and on and on until there was this something deep inside of me. It relaxed. It was like this fist And suddenly it gave away. And there was freedom. It is at that moment when I realized that the critical voice belonged to this little girl, the same little girl who had been through the car accident. I realized that she was in a way still lying on the street in front of the school building, because she never got to tell her story. She never got to tell how she felt, what she needed. And the only way she knew how was to just be critical about it, to grab my attention. And I finally did. So I went back to my old school building, to the street. I very gently kneeled down and picked her up. And I hugged her gently and whispered to her, and I said, "It's over now. You never have to experience this again." And this story had reached its completion. It is very important to remember that criticism and judgments are cry for help. And when this cry for help gets heard, the doors of the heart open. And then the power of the heart can create the world we all wish to live in. Thank you.
Ah,
Yay! Piret! Yay! Oh, that was
Amazing.
Awesome. Great
So
job.
good.
amazing, Piret.
So beautiful.
so beautiful, Piret. It was so stunning. Stunning. I'm just like sitting in my little corner because it was so amazing. Hang on. Oh my God. Beautiful. And to write that down before I forget. Oh my gosh. I want to open up for celebration. I want to hear from someone. You can just unmute yourself and I'm going to spotlight you with her. If you're on audio, that's fine. You can be on audio, but let's provide Piret some celebration. What moved you about what Piret said? What touched you? What inspired you? What had you see things in a new way? What did you love or appreciate about what she said or how she said it? You can just unmute yourself, and I encourage just generous leap-ins of celebration. So please go ahead.
Yes.
Yes, who is it that's speaking?
Yes.
Go ahead, jump on in.
Is that me?
Oh, you go ahead.
Anastasia? Yeah, go ahead. Anastasia, go ahead.
Piret, I want to frame your deep inner monologue and how you gave us example of this reparenting, this communication with yourself, and how it felt so delightful to watch you with your whole body being engaged and moving your hands as you were describing, and that metaphor of those two chairs. I want to frame how you showed that moment of your transformation and how you pick up yourself from the earth, from the street, and you said to yourself, you never need to go through it again, and how you touch your hands, your heart, and something shifts in the room. I felt that. Thank you.
Beautifully celebrated. Beautifully celebrated. Thank you. Who else? Someone else was wanting to jump in. You can just unmute yourself, please.
Susan?
Oh, okay.
Susan.
Hi. This is the first time at anything Women Speak ever. So and I'm not sure if there's a protocol here how to
I'm
respond
so happy you're here.
Thank
Please
you.
Yeah, whatever's from your heart that you want to reflect to Piret.
Sure.
about-
I just want to say your talk was beautiful. And I have to say, I feel like everything in the universe works for us, because I have currently been going through the letting my critical self take over and deflect me from reaching my goals. And which is one of the reasons why I've been starting to attend some, listen to some emails and stuff with Women Speak. But more importantly, when you addressed your inner critic and befriended your inner critic in that story, it really, really touched me. And I feel like that story can touch and reach so many people in such an important way. Like it just did for me. I just felt like, wow, wait a minute, this was magic that I showed up here. And this woman's speech just enveloped me and took me to another place and gave me hope that there are things I can do. I loved it. It was perfect and very inspiring and moving and beautiful. And your delivery was really beautiful and heartfelt.
Oh, Susan.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
What a beautiful celebration. Thank you, Susan. I'm so happy you're here in our community. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to jump in? Just jump in. Go for it.
I would love to say something to Piret because I need to get off for a meeting and then come back. Anyway, Piret, it's such a joy to meet you. I felt like that you became your story. I started to say embodied the story. It's embodied and yet you became it. It was like it was no longer something you experienced in the past. Anyhow, for me, it's like I felt that little girl running out because feeling betrayed and not seeing the car and getting hit and all that meant to you as you went forward in your life, how you didn't feel like you had a voice anymore and you couldn't even enjoy life, even though you were using, I think you said, your sheer willpower to essentially survive, though I don't know that you said that, but you did. And there's something to be said for that. And then how you began to make friends with the critical voice within you. And what I didn't realize, I'd not heard about this before, because I hadn't seen the critical voice as something that would actually have that connection to the inner child. For some reason, I missed that somewhere along the line. So thank you so much for sharing that, and the way that you wrapped it up, the way you picked her up and gave her all the love. And you had that kind of breakthrough that, of course, you would want to share that with the world. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Mm.
Thank you, Holly. Beautifully celebrated. Piret, I want to also celebrate you. Hang on. Okay. Well, Piret, your storytelling is so incredible. So incredible. I have just watched and marveled the last several months, the incredible depth that has happened and artistry that has been more fully developed in your storytelling. And today, the beginning story touched me so deeply, but it was both the conversation with the critical self in the chair. That was just, first of all, it's so brilliant. It's so brilliant. And then like I have tears. I mean, I wrote this in here and I had to send it. I have to go back and read it. This part, I mean, I just feel so emotional just reading it. It's like the critical voice is a cry for help. And when they are heard, the doors of the heart opens. And that was just breathtaking. And I want to also reflect to you, it was like the beginning and the storytelling, the energy you brought really, like I could, that there was like I felt like I witnessed a transformation in you, in your energy throughout the course of the talk. And at the end, when you were sharing these profound truisms and wisdom, you stepped forward into the light and there was this like radiance that you brought, the fullness of your heart that came through and the wisdom. I mean, it was just such a beautiful, incredible example of the power of what happens when a woman is both like so deeply connected to and embodied in the wisdom that she has to share, and her essence comes through so clearly. I felt that so powerfully in this message, and in particular at the end. And I hope when you go back and watch the talk, you know, you will see. And I wonder if you felt that, like, did you feel that experience in your body towards the end of the talk? I'm so curious your inner experience. Tell us.
When I hugged the little child and when I said it out loud, it's over, then I felt something in my body that was convinced, okay, yeah, it's over. And that's why I instinctively, I stepped forward and started talking from in front of the computer, the laptop.
We felt it. It was a tremendous moment. It was a moment of such transcendence, and it carried through. Your radiance was just, and there was so much healing energy that transmitted through all of us, combined with what you were saying. It was a true transmission, and it was really touching. So I know that you have walked a deep path to arrive at this moment, and I celebrate you for showing up. Let's give her another huge heartfelt round of applause.
Can I just also say, can I also just say, like, I would also just like to upright and say, like, honestly, that talk helped me so very, very, very much. I loved it. I loved how you flipped the script on the critical voice and you made it into your healer and teacher. And I've been in 7 car accidents and hit by a truck and a lot of accidents. So for me, that was so awesome. Like, it was really, really helpful. And I could totally see, sorry, I have concussions, so sometimes you can't control your emotions. So I'm not sad, but like, I'm really happy because honestly, like, I really exactly echo what Casey said. Like, you really had a transmission of the transformation of that energy. You flipped the script, and it's like you gave it love, and then it gave you love back, and it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. It was very healing, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow, Katie, thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. So happy you're here, Katie. Perfect timing. All right, everyone. So beautiful. That is when we talk about an initiation, a rite of passage, what this experience is, to show up for your wisdom and to be in community and be received. I mean, this is what it is. This is really what's possible. So thank you all. I'm really loving and appreciating the depth of celebration and engagement from this community right now. It's gorgeous. And the chat, like, really awesome. Like, wow, the chat is so amazing. Piret, make sure you spend some time reading through. It's so special. So special.